So just doing a little bit of grounding this morning for chair yoga. We're going to sit up nice and tall and anchor the feet down into the ground below you, allowing the palms to rest gently on the thighs, feeling the contact of all 10 toes with the ground, feeling the weight of the heels, balls of the feet. And try to relax those shoulders away from the ears, just letting them hang down loosely. Closing the eyes if they aren't already. Try to relax the jaw, relax the forehead. And begin to take notice of your breath as it enters the nose with the inhale and as it exits the nose with the exhale. Begin to notice the rising and the falling of the chest. Begin to elongate your exhale, maybe breathing into a count of 3 and exhaling to a count of 5. Drawing your attention now down to the hips, the pelvis, and trying to relax any tension that there is in the pelvic floor, the hips, the low back. And on your next exhale, keeping the eyes closed, let's bring the chin down to the chest, creating length in the back of the neck there. Take a deep inhale and an exhale to let it all go. Keeping the chin down to the chest, we're going to straighten your right leg and then lower that foot down, and then straighten the left leg and then lower that foot down. And keeping your chin to your chest, can you lift both legs off of the floor and draw the toes up to the shins? So that might create a little bit of tension throughout the back of the body. You might notice it at the base of the skull, maybe in the areas throughout the spine, maybe down into the calf muscles. And then exhale, release the feet to the floor, coming back up to center, taking your gaze up toward the ceiling now. Inhale and exhale, just letting go, feeling that length throughout the front of the neck. We're rocking the head from side to side just to explore those areas of tension. And then taking your gaze forward, dropping left ear down to left shoulder. You can reach that hand up and over just to add a little bit of overpressure. Nothing too strenuous though. And relax that right shoulder down away from the ear to create length throughout the side of the neck. So I love this one because the stretch that you were feeling, that's called your scalene muscle. And that muscle, it attaches from the neck to the first rib. So when we're in states of stress or heightened awareness, a lot of times that muscle will contract, bringing our shoulders up toward our ears. So to counter that, we want to lengthen, relax, exhale. On your next inhale, come back up through center and take that stretch to the other side. Gentle overpressure if it feels good. And try to relax that left shoulder down and away from the ear. Continue to breathe here, letting go with every exhale. And then release to come back through center. We're going to scoot to the edge of the chair here, separating the feet a little more than hip distance apart. We're going to lace those fingers together, gently pressing the palms down to the floor. Inhale as you press it up to the ceiling, first long stretch of the day, and then exhale, release the hands down by your side. You're going to take that about 3 to 4 more times here, coordinating your own breath to your movement, inhaling as you lift up and exhaling as you lower it down. Really feeling that stretch throughout the shoulder blades, the torso. And on your last one here, we're going to meet with the arms up overhead. Exhale, take a twist off to the right, using that chair for a little bit of extra twist, I guess you could say. And breathing deeply to grow tall, but also expanding throughout the ribcage. One more breath here. And then exhale, release those arms up overhead, taking your twist to the other side. Rooting down into that chair and the thigh. Inhaling as you lift up tall. Exhaling as you take that twist slightly deeper. And then release to bring those hands back up to center. Taking that left hand down to your chair. We're going to inhale, reach that right arm up and over, taking a nice side body stretch. So with the side body stretch, imagine relaxing that shoulder away from the ear, but creating length throughout the rib cage. Gently pressing the palm into the chair as you expand throughout the side of the body. Okay, taking your feet nice and wide, we're going to sweep that hand down below you, taking a gentle forward fold. Maybe the elbows come to the knees. Maybe your hands can come down toward the floor, letting the belly rest between the thighs. Wherever you are, we're just kind of letting go here, as long as it feels good in the back and there's no radiating symptoms down into the legs, the hips, the butt. If you're getting that, just come out, please. Deep inhale. On your next exhale, we're going to sweep that left hand over to the side, anchoring right hand to chair. You can heel toe your feet back into the center and just creating length throughout the left side body. Finding that breath here. And then coming back up through center. Wonderful job. Okay, so stacking one forearm on top of the other, we've been calling this I Dream of Jeannie arms. We're going to take a gentle twist to the right. Sorry, you're right. We'll do both sides. And then back to center. Take that same direction. And we're just going back and forth about five to 8 times. Just trying to get a little more mobility in the mid-back. And then find your center, and let's take the other side. So we're stacking opposite arm on opposite forearm. Taking your twist and back to center. And then come back to center. We'll release those hands onto the thighs. If you aren't already to the edge of the chair, go ahead and get yourself there. We're going to root the hands down into the ground, extend the legs out long. So this time we are straightening the knees. We're going to have the fingertips pointed forward as you shift the hips up into a reverse plank. So this is our first upper extremity weight bearing exercise of the day. So be kind to your body. We're straightening out those elbows, feeling that stretch through the wrist, squeezing the glutes. And then exhale, release the hips back down onto the chair. Go ahead and shake out those wrists, maybe some wrist circles in one direction and then the other direction. Okay, bringing hands onto shoulders. Go ahead and draw some circles with the elbows. Your circles can be as big or as small as you wish, or a variation of different sizes. And then go ahead and reverse your direction here. Maybe some snap, crackle, pops this morning just to get things moving, get that blood flowing. And then release those hands down by your side. We're going to shrug the shoulders up to the ears as hard as you can, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release down by your side. Take that 2 more times. Inhale, shrug all the way up, hold. And then exhale, release to let everything go. And one last one, inhale, shrug up. 4, 5, and then release down to let everything go. Okay, we're gonna take a similar pose. So finding our bridge pose, this time knees are bent, walking the feet forward, pressing down into the chair. We're gonna send the hips up and forward, really squeezing that backside, trying to press the hips up to the ceiling. If you want a little more of a challenge, some loading for your hips, we're gonna alternate kicking out right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg. Taking a couple more times here on each side. And then exhale, shifting those hips back into your chair. Sitting up nice and tall here, we're going to take a couple of rounds of cat-cow, pulling that chest through, inhaling to look up. And then exhaling to round that spine and look down toward the thighs. Coordinating your own breath to your movement here, finding some fluidity with the movements in your inhales and your exhales. And then come back to center, sitting up nice and tall, stacking ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. We're going to pull the chest through, shift the rib cage off to the left, pull it back, off to the right, and forward. So creating a circular motion of the rib cage over top of your pelvis. Just finding that movement here. And then finding your center, taking a moment here to inhale. Exhale, pulling the chest through and taking the opposite direction now. Kind of exploring all those quadrants of this movement. So forward, side, back, and the other side. And then pausing for a moment to take a deep breath in. And then exhaling out. Wonderful. So we've kind of warmed up the legs already. So we're going to hug that right knee into your chest, sitting up nice and tall. So with this one, we don't want to be hanging out on our shoulders. We want to keep that chest lifted nice and proud. It's going to pull the knee in. It's going to engage the shoulders. And when that leg is lifted, go ahead and draw some circles with that foot. One direction. And then the other direction. And then go ahead and release that foot down to the earth. Stepping up your left leg now, catching the shin. Remember, looping shoulders down and back, sitting up tall, and begin to draw some circles with that ankle. And then going in the opposite direction here. Go ahead and release that foot down to the floor. We're going to extend your left leg out long, flipping the toes up toward the shins. And we're growing tall through the crown of the head. And then exhale to hinge forward at the hips, keeping that chest lifted. Okay, imagine kind of arching your back like we do in the cow pose. It's going to create a rotation forward of your pelvis, and that actually stretches the top part of your hamstring, so that muscle in the back of the leg. Continue to breathe here. Continue to find and take up that space in the back of the leg. And then exhale, release, coming on out of that pose, taking the other side, extending right leg out, flipping the toes up. Trying to keep that knee nice and straight. We're going to sit up tall and then hinge forward at the hips. Chest is proud here. Breathing in to find that expansion throughout the back of the leg, and then exhaling to come into that forward fold a little more. And then release to come back up through center here, bending that knee. We're going to crisscross left foot over right knee. So with this one, we want to just protect the knee by drawing the toes up to the shins here. This might be enough this morning. Where you're at in your day, we throughout the night, we kind of lay down waste deposits and tissue called fascia. So it's important to stretch and create that blood flow to kind of wring out that junk that's accumulated over the night. So if you're not 100% yet with this pose, just be here, honor that in your body. If you do want a little more overpressure, we can gently press the knee away from you down toward the floor. But continue to sit up tall here. Continue to breathe. We'll get another chance to work on this. And then release that foot down to the floor, taking right foot over left knee now. Drawing the toes up to the shins and sitting up nice and tall. Once again, honoring your body where it is this morning. And go ahead and press that knee away from you if that feels good. Take a deep inhale. And on your exhale, go ahead and release that foot down to the ground. Coming to the edge of your chair if you aren't already. We're stepping now, left foot out to the side, turning the toe open so that knee is stacked over toe. And we're going to extend that right foot back behind you. So front heel bisects the arch of the back foot. We're sitting up tall, but engaging the core, reaching those fingertips out nice and long for our strong warrior two. Try to relax those shoulders down and away from the ears as you find your breath, find your focus. Go ahead and flip your front palm up to the ceiling. We're exhaling to reverse warrior, reaching those fingertips up toward the sky. Back hand comes down to back knee. And then we're coming back through center here, warrior two, bringing front elbow to front knee and extending that right arm up overhead for our extended side angle. So in this pose, the rib cage kind of wants to round. See if you can drop that down and relax that upper shoulder away from the ear. So that's going to give you a different dynamic in the side of the body. And then coming back up through your warrior two, go ahead and release the hands down to the ground. And finding our 5-pointed star, we're bending both knees, toes turned out, reaching those fingertips up toward the sky. And then exhale, cactusing the arms, allowing the elbows to come down toward the hips and lifting that sternum up toward the ceiling. Exhale, release up overhead. And then inhale, pull down and lift up. Exhale, release overhead. And then pull down, lift and look up. Great job. Releasing the hands down to your side. We're taking that same warrior flow on the other side. So right foot is turned out, knee stays bent, and we're extending that left leg back behind you. Might need to reposition here on the edge of your chair. Wherever you are, we want to draw that belly button in. So that's not so much as a, like we're sucking in, we're just kind of bracing our core. So imagine, I don't like this imagery, but imagine that somebody is coming to punch you in the stomach and you are trying to brace yourself for impact. So that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say engage your core. Okay, so core is engaged. We're reaching fingertips out long. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. And take the gaze down that front middle finger. Finding your focus here. Finding your breath. And then let's flip your front palm up to the ceiling. Exhale, taking our reverse warrior, allowing that back hand to come down to the back knee, reaching those fingertips up toward the sky. And then coming back through center here, taking that front elbow to front knee, extending your arm up and overhead. Noticing if that rib cage is rounding. It might be hard to see, but try to drop down here. So what that does is it lines your spine. It engages our obliques. And then we'll come back up through center here, bending both knees, taking a nice tall seated position here, floating the arms up overhead for a 5-pointed star. Exhale to cactus the arms, drawing the elbows down toward the hips to lift that chest up. And then exhale to release up overhead. Inhale, pull down and lift up. And exhale, release up overhead. Excellent job. Go ahead and lower the hands down to the knees and heel toe your feet back into the center here, readjusting those sits bones as it feels comfortable. And we're just going to pull that chest through. Inhale, lift and look up, and then exhale to round and look down. Just taking a couple rounds of cat-cow here in this variation. And then finding your center here. Taking a deep breath in. And then exhale to release and let go. Great job. So we're going to come up to our standing poses here. So taking your chair and turning the seat to face you to start with. Okay. So taking the palms onto the chair here, coming into a little forward fold, begin to walk your feet back about a foot. And then you're going to send the hips up and back to come into our downward facing dog. If you need to walk back a little further because your arm position on the chair, please feel free to do so. If it feels good to have a soft bend in the knees for your first down dog of the day, You can go ahead and take that. Reaching the right hand behind the head, we're going to twist to tap the elbow down toward the floor and then inhale to lift and look up. Taking this a couple of times on the right side. And then releasing the hand up to the chair, floating the left hand behind the head. We'll twist to tap down and then inhale to lift and look up. And then releasing that hand to the chair, go ahead and walk your feet up to meet your hands at the top of your mat. Inhale, we're going to roll it up until the top of the head is the very last thing that comes up. Great job. Spiraling the palms to face forward, bringing those feet nice and close together. We're going to relax the shoulders down and away from the ears, stacking ears over shoulders. Finding your breath here in this mountain pose. And then exhale, release. We're going to step your right foot into the chair and left foot kind of hops back a little bit. So we're taking our lunge variation. Once you get there, we're shifting the knee over the ankle, kind of leaning in to the chair here. Back knee is straight. We're attempting to get into the front of the hip here in a gentle way. Taking a deep breath, inhaling and exhaling. And then release to come back up, swapping your feet out. Stepping that left foot up into the chair. We're shifting that knee over the ankle. Back knee is extended. Really trying to keep your hips squared toward the chair here. And then release to come back up. Okay, so taking our quad stretch, you're welcome to hold on to the back of the chair or place your foot in the chair, whatever feels good and stable. So let's start with the left leg, kicking left leg back. You're going to catch the top of the foot, drawing that knee into your midline. So we want the knees to be touching. And you're going to open up across the chest. Imagine squeezing that left glute muscle. So that's going to create some tension throughout the top of the thigh. And then exhale, releasing that foot down to the ground. We're going to take the other side here. So bending right leg to catch the top of the foot and the hand behind you, or you can rest the top of the foot in the chair, wherever you are. That's A-okay. Honoring the body is important with this one. Opening up that right shoulder, squeezing that right glute, and trying to keep that knee in midline. And then exhale, releasing that foot down to the ground. We're going to spiral the chair so that the back of the chair is facing you. Wonderful job. So shifting your weight onto your right foot. We're going to take our tree pose. I'll turn to face you. So rooting that right foot down into the ground, we're going to take the sole of the left foot to the floor, the inner shin, or the inner thigh, wherever you feel stable and good today. We're going to find your focal point on the wall in front of you, rooting that foot down into the ground, squeezing that right outer hip so that we're bringing it close to the body here. So when I keep saying midline, so midline is just your center, your axial skeleton, your spine. So when we come away from the body, we want to engage the outer hip to bring it back in to midline. So finding your drishti, your focal point in front of you, go ahead and bring one hand to heart center. If you want a little more of a balance challenge, you can bring both. Inviting those little micro corrections in the ankle. If you come out of this pose, kindly bring yourself back into it. And then we'll exhale, release that foot down to the floor. Go ahead and shake that leg out as we take the other side here. So rooting into the left leg, we're going to take the sole of the right foot to the inner shin or the inner thigh, whatever feels good today. Again, drawing that hip into your midline so you can grow tall through the crown of the head. Finding your drishti, your focal point, bringing one hand to heart center, and the other, if that is accessible today. Imagine pressing that right knee open, so kind of toward the back of your mat. And then exhale, releasing foot to floor. Go ahead and shake those legs out. Wonderful job. Stepping on your left foot, we're reaching that right foot back. So coming into our warrior one. Back toe turns out slightly. And your feet are on railroad tracks, meaning we want them a little separated. Bending that front knee, sweeping the arms up overhead, knowing the chair is there for balance if you need it. Drawing the belly button in towards spine, kind of bracing that core like we talked about. And try to relax the shoulders away from the ears as you take a deep breath in and out. Bringing hands down to chair, let's straighten your front knee. Square off your hips toward the chair and inhale to grow tall through the crown of the head as you hinge forward at the hips. Trying to keep that front leg straight so that we can experience this stretch throughout the back of the leg. And imagine pressing, anchoring that back heel down into the ground to create length through the back of that leg. Finding your breath here. Drawing belly button into spine, we're going to lift up and out of that pose, stepping off the back leg to come up to the top of your mat. Shifting weight onto right leg now, stepping left foot back. Toe turns out slightly, and our feet are on railroad tracks. So we are inhaling to grow tall through the crown of the head, and then exhaling to hinge forward, forward, forward at the hips, creating that length throughout the back of the leg. Finding that breath. And then drawing belly button into spine to lift up and out of that pose. We're going to bend that front knee, sweeping the arms up overhead, relaxing shoulders down and away from ears for our warrior one. Nice and tall to the crown of the head. And then exhale, release the hands to the chair, stepping up to the top of your mat. Great job. Go ahead and shake those legs out. And then we're going to bring the balls of the feet to touch each other, knees touch each other. Shifting your weight into the heels, bending the knees and sending the hips back for our chair pose. Should be able to wiggle your toes. That's how much your weight is in the heels. Okay. If you want a little more of a challenge here, imagine pressing the knees together. Imagine squeezing those hips together and reaching the fingertips forward. So this might be enough here, but if you want to take the arms up overhead, that's fine. But I don't want to see an arch in the back, so we want to keep that back nice and flat. Continue to hold here, continue to breathe. Sink it down a little lower. And then exhale, release, placing the hands on the chair. Shifting your weight now onto your right leg. We're turning the hips open to the left side, sending your left leg back. So coming into our triangle pose, we're going to shift the hips toward the back of the mat, engaging those outer hip muscles, reaching those fingertips out nice and long. Begin to reach forward over your chair. You can place the hand on the chair and then inhale to sweep that left arm up to the ceiling. So with triangle pose, we want to imagine we're reaching up to the ceiling to activate all of those abdominal muscles. Keep a soft jaw, soft neck as you breathe. And then exhale, coming back up to standing, stepping off the back foot and coming up to the top of your mat. Other side, shifting weight onto left leg, turning to open up to the right side of your mat. Go ahead and shift your hips toward the back of the mat, but keep those outer hip muscles engaged. Reach your fingertips out long, and then go ahead and reach over top of your chair, placing hand on chair, and then inhale to sweep that right arm up for our triangle pose. Reach the fingertips up to the ceiling, lifting up and out of those abdominal muscles. And then floating that arm up into your standing triangle, stepping off of the back foot. Let's come up to the top of your mat. Great job. So taking our second downward dog variation, we're going to keep the hands on the chair and walk the feet back until you hinge the hips, diving the chest down, noticing how long my spine is here, so I'm not rounding, trying to get the head between the arms, but it's more how much can you get the chest down between the arms. So you might feel differences in your shoulder sensation. So you might feel some sensation on the top of the shoulder. Maybe you feel a stretch underneath the arm throughout the side of the body. Maybe you experience something in the mid-back here. Wherever that is for you, take a deep breath in. And then exhale to let it go. Walking the feet back up to the top of the chair. We're going to lace those fingers behind the hips. Okay. Imagine pressing the fingertips down to the floor as you pinch the shoulder blades together and open up across the chest. Okay. Maybe you press your hands behind you to get more of an extension stretch. Really opening up that chest. Breathing deeply into that space. Maybe you want to hinge forward at the hips, taking those fingers up toward the ceiling. And then releasing the hands, working your way back up. Spiraling your chair back around so that we can take a seat. Go ahead and grab your yoga strap if that's handy. And come on down into your chair here. Wonderful job. So sitting up nice and tall and proud here. Take a couple of rounds of cat-cow, pulling that chest through and then rounding the spine. Just to notice the differences in sensation of the spine after working through those poses. And then find a moment of stillness here. We're going to inhale to sweep the arms up. And then exhale, take a twist to the left. Anchoring down, maybe noticing the differences here with your twist. Maybe you can see a different part of your peripheral vision as you take your gaze over that right shoulder to deepen your twist. And then release those arms up overhead, taking your twist to the right side. Exploring that new range of motion that you just created. And then releasing that twist up overhead, bringing those hands to heart center for a moment, taking a breath in. And on the exhale, releasing everything down. Go ahead and scoot your seat back into the chair so you can feel supported. And grab your yoga strap here. So looping that strap around the ball of the right toes, you're going to extend that leg out long, drawing the toes up to the shins. Sitting tall, sitting proud here. Anchoring that left hip down into the chair, go ahead and extend that right leg out to the side. So some core engagement here. Some stretching throughout the back of the leg and the inner thigh. Working with the breath. Plugging that shoulder in so we're not hanging out on the shoulder joints. And then let's release that to come back to center, bending the knee and swapping that foot out. Keeping the strap around the ball of the toes, we're going to draw toes up to shins, extending that leg out long. Try to sit up tall and proud here. Anchoring your right hip down into the chair, embracing that core. Extend that leg out to the side, feeling that stretch throughout the inner thigh, back of the leg. Sitting tall, proud here. And then exhale, release it back to center, moving your strap off to the side of your mat. Okay. So we're going to crisscross that left foot over right knee. Okay. And we're going to take a pose called eagle arms. So reach your hands out nice and wide. You're going to crisscross one hand over the other, one arm over the other. So we want the elbows to meet each other. Press those elbows together as you bend the elbows so that the back of the hands touch each other in front of your face. Now crisscross those hands so that the palms touch each other. Maybe you're kind of hooking your finger around the thumb. So sit tall, sit proud here, and imagine pressing your fingers up toward the ceiling. So that's going to give you a nice stretch in the back of the right shoulder. If you're having any pain, any discomfort, please just come out of this. Otherwise, find a deep breath into that space. And then exhale, release it down and away from the face, uncrossing the legs, crisscrossing opposite foot over now. Okay, reaching the arms out once again, taking that opposite arm over, crossing over at the elbows. Press your elbows together. Go ahead and bend both elbows, taking the back of the hands to touch. Now looping your hand behind so that those fingers can grab onto the base of the thumb. Staying here if that feels like enough, or you can imagine pressing your fingertips up toward the ceiling to get a stretch throughout the back of that left shoulder. Finding your breath here. And then go ahead and release the hands, release the feet. Taking a couple of shoulder rolls backward. And forward. Go ahead and open up those arms out to the side, and then exhale, hugging yourself, reaching those fingers around. Really stretching throughout the back of the body, breathing deeply into those ribs. Releasing that hug, and then exhale, taking the other direction. So stacking the opposite arm over. Breathing into that space in the back of the body. And then release. Great job. So we're taking your left foot over right knee here. So we're revisiting this hip opener. So keeping the toes engaged to protect the knee. Pressing that elbow into the knee or the hand into the knee to open up that hip. We're inhaling to grow tall here, and then exhale, hinge forward at the hips gently. This is a subtle movement, but you'll notice that it does create a little more tension in the hip. Continue to work with the breath here, letting go with each exhale, trying to get more out of the pose. And then release to come back up through center. We're going to crisscross your right foot over left knee now, drawing the toes up to the shins. Pressing that knee down and away from you. And then exhale to hinge forward. Creating rotation in the hip. And then releasing to come back up through center, uncrossing those legs, sliding your hips back into the chair. Coming into our Shavasana here. Go ahead and sit up tall. Try to relax those shoulders away from the ears and close the eyes. Feeling the soles of the feet and the toes sinking down into the earth below you. Feeling that groundedness, that support. Feeling your seat in the chair below you. Feeling your thighs underneath the palms. Scanning the body from the crown of the head down to the feet. Imagine relaxing the top of the head. Smoothing out the forehead. Allowing the eyelids to become heavy so that the eyes sink back into the sockets. Separating the teeth to relax the jaw. Relaxing the throat and the neck, the shoulders, your elbows, your hands become heavy. Taking your attention to the chest and the belly. Noticing that expansion and release with every inhale, with every exhale. And taking your focus to the low back, the hips, your pelvis. Try to relax all of those muscles in that area. With every exhale, taking your attention down the thighs, the lower leg, the feet. Just let go. Taking a few moments here to focus on your breath, breathing in relaxation and letting go with every exhale. When you feel ready, you can make some small movements with your toes and fingers, keeping those eyes closed for a moment. Let's bring our hands up to heart center, taking a moment to show yourself some appreciation for getting up this morning, taking some time for yourself. And may you have peace in your thoughts, in your words, and in your heart. Namaste.